I think in a lot of ways an interpreter is a person who does very well academically in high school and college, but wants to do something that's just a little bit different. That wants to be doing something that's a little different from traditional. Often when I've described myself or described a lot of my interpreter cohorts, we're all people who really love knowing about a lot of things and interacting in a lot of places with a lot of different people, but going into a traditional field of being a teacher, a doctor, or a lawyer was not something that sounded very interesting to us. Meanwhile, we work with teachers, doctors, and lawyers all the time, interpreting for them in their interactions with the deaf community. You have to develop a love for all of the parts of interpreting and going back and forth between different languages, but you also have to develop a different perspective on the world. Most of us grow up as hearing people who rarely have run into or interacted with deaf people, and then we find ourselves in a profession that requires us to be very sensitive to a deaf perspective on the world. And in the industry, it's called having a deaf heart, is being able to understand the deaf perspective and to utilize their language for our professional growth and development, but to give back to the deaf community and to support the needs and the concerns of the deaf community from our hearing perspective. Nationally, the statistics show that no matter how many interpreting students we graduate, we cannot meet the current needs for interpreters. Most interpreting agencies say on a weekly basis that they can only fill 80% of the requests for interpreters. And we have the expectation that in the next few years, all the interpreters who are baby boomers are going to be retiring. Sorry, all the baby boomers will be retiring. And with that, we will need even more interpreters to replace those retiring interpreters. So the government statistics put us well above average as far as the outlook for employment.